Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us for this practice. My name's Jill Davey, and I'm a teacher with True North Insight. And today I had my first meeting with a new piano teacher. I used to play when I was a kid. But just for pleasure, like I didn't do conservatory or exams or anything like that. Stressed me out way too much. But and so over the years, I was so gratefully received my grandmother's piano when she died, and so I have a piano. And so over the years, I come and go through practice times and having a teacher or not having a teacher. I usually start twinkling away around Christmas time and different times. It comes and goes for me. And teachers come and go as their life circumstances change. So I met with a new teacher today. She has a grand piano, which is intimidating to play on, and very accomplished. But yeah, lovely connection. Feels like it's going to be a good fit, the two of us. And so when we were wrapping up this first meeting today, I said, I assume you probably would like it if we practice every day. Is that right? And she was saying, at least 5 times a week. She says it's also good to take a break, to not maybe do it every single day. I was like, all right, that's cool. But the other stuff she started to say, she said, some people will practice like they realize it's Sunday and they're like, ooh, haven't practiced all week, and they jam a practice in right before their lesson. And she says, and you can always tell. Or she said, there's some people that'll like practice for an hour once a week, and you can tell. And she said, and then there's some people that maybe practice for a shorter time, but every day, or 5 or 6 times at least through the week. And you can tell. And so, and I said, oh my gosh, that's exactly like meditation. You can tell. And maybe that we can't tell necessarily, but sometimes we can, maybe, about other people's practice. But I can certainly tell within myself when I haven't been practicing regularly. And how can I tell? I get, there's more regret and remorse over unskillful actions, unskillful words, more greed, more delusion, more reactivity with other people, less patience, maybe less compassion, so it shows up. And I also find that fruitful sometimes to remind me of why I practice. Like sometimes I have to get a little bit messy, and then I'm like, oh, that inspires me to practice again, because I can see the effect of not practicing. Do you know what I mean? So that there can be fruitful lessons in that, to really see how it does have an effect. Or perhaps people mention like, what are you up to lately? You seem pretty peaceful or happy or calm. Like sometimes people will notice when you have been practicing, it shows up. And so this phrase has been really resonating with me. What are you practicing? So that's kind of the title of the talk tonight. What are you practicing? And it's been really interesting to just ask myself this question all through the day. What am I practicing right now? So this word practicing is both a noun and a verb. Or practice is a noun, meaning it's a thing, it's our practice. And then there's practice as a verb, like practice the piano or practice meditation, etc. And yeah, so the kind of standard definitions of practice is the actual application or use of an idea, belief, or method, as opposed to the theories relating to it, right? So if we think of our meditation practice, we can have lots of ideas of what it means to be mindful or to be wise or to be kind, but it's the actual application. Yeah, the actual practice of it. Another part of the noun definition of practice is it's the customary, habitual, or expected way of doing something. And so to ask ourselves, what am I practicing? Is it just a habitual? Am I practicing being greedy? Am I practicing being reactive? Am I practicing being ruminating on something, proliferating an unskillful thought? Am I practicing that by going over it again and again and applying those beliefs? So to ask ourselves, what am I practicing right now? So when I'm making dinner, what am I practicing? And it's not so much the answering of it, it's the question itself that is most important. It's not like to try and name, what is it I was just doing? What was I just thinking about? What was I practicing, paying attention to? It's in the question, like a koan, it's in the question that the wisdom can be known. Just by asking ourselves, what am I practicing right now? It wasn't so much that I was like trying to figure that out, like, oh, I was just practicing planning mind or something. It was like, oh, like when I was vacuuming, what am I practicing right now? And my mind was elsewhere and just doing it quickly. And then it was like, oh, practicing mindfulness of body. When I was eating dinner, what am I practicing right now? Oh, mindfulness of eating. Totally slowed me down, made me attentive, made me taste the food. It wasn't that I needed to identify what was happening before the question arose. So similarly, practice being a verb, so it has this active quality. It can be the practice or a practice, our practice, or it's the activity, the doing, the exercise of repeatedly or regularly doing something in order to improve or maintain our proficiency. So what are we regularly, routinely, repeatedly doing? What are we improving? Am I repeatedly improving my ability to worry? Am I repeatedly, regularly getting very proficient at anger? There's lots of things we can be improving and being proficient at. And is it skillful? Is it conducive to wisdom, to peace, to compassion? Yeah. So just taking on that question as an awakening practice might be very fruitful. I've been finding it fruitful. What am I practicing? Just often through the day. Walking somewhere, ironing, eating, talking on the phone. What am I practicing? Am I actually practicing mindful hearing, heartful hearing? Or am I practicing what I want to say next? Yeah, we could go on, and I deeply wish we were in a space where we could just have a conversation together, and those of us on the Zoom call, maybe we'll talk after the recording about, what we've been practicing, and what we intend to practice. And so just in the floating of the question, in the awakening of the inquiry, there is the opportunity then to choose. Now we're no longer in reactivity of just habitually from our old grooves and reactivity and triggers. Right in the moment of the question is the opportunity to choose, what do I want to practice right now? Yeah. And of course, all of that daily life awakening is greatly deepened and assisted and fostered by a formal practice. Sounds like there's a big line between formal and informal practice, or daily life practice and formal meditation. Of course, there is no lines really between anything, but it's a lot more permeable than it may sound like in the words I'm using. But there is something about a formal practice where we set a timer, have an intention. I am going to practice now. And of course, there's many ways to practice, many, many, many ways. Walking meditation, breathing meditation, hearing meditation, mindfulness of body scans. I mean, could go on and on with all the different types of practice there are. But the intention before a period of what I'm calling formal practice is very important, because sometimes we might find ourselves just like sitting, not multitasking, and just having a cup of tea, or listening to birds, or looking out a window, or laying down and just staying awake, but just feeling our body or feeling our breath. And we might then say after a while, like, oh, that was kind of a practice. And that is fruitful and useful, but it's different than beginning with the intention. Beginning with the intention, setting your timer, saying, look, I've got 20 minutes here right now. I'm going to put down all the other distractions and settle and do one thing. Attend to one thing. Even if the one thing is open awareness, where there's other, okay, don't go off track. So yeah, attending to one thing. So think about, what do I really want to cultivate in my daily life? What do I want to practice? Mindfulness, kindness, presence, wisdom, generosity. And then how am I cultivating that? What conditions am I setting up so that that's more likely to happen? If the conditions are just the habits of greed, hatred, and delusion, or wanting and not being aware, then that's what we're going to continue to practice. So we need that formal practice time in order to turn up the awareness through our daily life. If you're not sure where to start a formal practice, or how to cultivate what suits your life and your temperament and your degree of experience or your background. You might connect with a teacher personally or sign up for a course where you're kind of going to go through some steps of how to begin a practice. Or even if you have a long-standing practice, it may need shifting depending on changing circumstances. So it's helpful to have some guidance with that. Can be helpful. I think it's helpful. So what are we practicing? It's a great question. So tonight we're going to share a practice, one of many ways of practicing in order to cultivate more awareness in our daily life so we can notice, hey, what am I practicing right now when I'm driving but actually worrying about something else, or when I'm standing in line and energetically pushing somebody near me, or when I'm keeping my mouth shut but I'm just stewing and saying all kinds of cruel things about someone in my mind. What am I practicing right then? Good question. Yeah. So short intro tonight, and let's tuck into practicing. Yeah. So I was sharing with the folks that are here on the call that for this time of practice to adjust for what will suit you to be relaxed and alert. If you're experiencing a lot of pain, you might need to practice laying down. If you're experiencing a lot of fatigue in your eyes from being on a screen, you might want, or your body being close to these devices, you might want to turn away. You might want to dim your lights. If there's a lot of sleepiness for you, as there may be for some of us are practicing in the evening, depending when you're watching this or what time zone you're in. If there's a lot of sleepiness, you might want to practice standing meditation. If you're not familiar with what that is, you can find it in the list of recordings here. Standing meditation is one we've done a recording of. You could even practice walking meditation if you need to move your body a little bit or help with wakefulness. You could just do some slow walking back and forth here in this space. So you want your posture to be relaxed and some energy or alertness to it. So I'm in a chair, but I'm taking my knees nice and wide so that I feel nice width and stability. I'm sitting my back away from the back of the chair so that there's some uprightness through my spine and not so much sleepiness. If I go back in the chair, it tends to collapse my chest and my head goes forward, and it's might make us fall asleep. Another part of our posture as we're settling in can be the placement of the eyes. So for some of us, it's helpful to close our eyes, relax the upper eyelid and the forehead, just to reduce outer stimulation and distraction, turning our vision inward. Others are used to practicing with the eyes slightly open, but looking downward with a bit of light coming in for a sense of being where you are and some wakefulness and light coming in. If you're feeling anxiety or stress in this moment, it might be helpful to keep your eyes open and to look around your space, to orient where you are, to feel safe in the space where you are. So take a moment to check out those different postures for your eyes. And then to the best of your ability, just settling into one. Just Just choosing one and then not continuing to seek or look for something else, just settling into that posture for your eyes. And likewise, to bring a restful posture to our hands. Some people rest with the palms up or palms down in the lap, or if you're laying down, your hands could be on your belly, depending on what posture you're in. And so the first part of our practice that we're practicing is just checking in with the body, connecting, practicing feeling, body just coming into its posture very simply, into whatever posture you're in. And then we're going to practice a little bit of letting go of any tension that isn't needed right now. Feel the sensations in your face, the muscles of the face. Is there any tension here that's not needed right now? When you're ready, feel into the area of the neck and shoulders and throat. Any tension here that's not needed, can it let go? Practicing letting go. And continuing connecting in this way to the present moment and the body, and feeling into the area of the heart center, belly center, or the back, the whole torso, and noticing if there's tension here, it could let go. Practicing with softening the belly. As the upper body softens a little bit, letting go of any extra tension, we may be able to feel some connection now with the ground. If you're laying down, feeling the back body on its support. If you're sitting, feeling buttocks and legs and feet. So now we're practicing grounding. Actually feeling the direct sensations of pressure, contact, support, texture, temperature, ground. And I'll be quiet for a few minutes here, and we're practicing letting go, softening, and grounding. And we'll all notice that our attention gets pulled away into the habits from our day, the activity of the mind, or distractions around you. And we practice letting go, softening, and grounding. Another minute with this. And now we'll begin to cultivate a bit more of an anchor. So for some of us, just this beginning place of feeling the body in its posture, relaxing, softening, grounding, is a beautiful anchor. Present moment, embodied, so that when the attention moves away, you can just come back to feeling the body, letting go, softening, grounding. Another anchor that might be helpful for some of us this evening or whenever you're practicing is hearing meditation. This can be really helpful if it feels challenging to be directly with the body right now. There can be lots of reasons for that, not to judge that, and just to give yourself this skillful choice that if there's some sounds in your environment, you could choose that as the anchor. Aware of hearing. You don't have to make hearing happen. It comes and goes on its own. And you're just aware of hearing the vibrations meeting the body. Sounds are conditioned and impermanent, not personal. So we can all try that on for a few moments if you like. Just open to hearing. We might notice with hearing meditation that at times there's sounds that are pleasant and sometimes sounds that are unpleasant. And lots of times sounds that are neither pleasant nor unpleasant. And so we want to include noticing What are we practicing there? Are we practicing aversion to unpleasant? Are we practicing desire for pleasant? Or are we practicing spacing out to neither pleasant nor unpleasant? And can we just return to just knowing it simply as hearing without practicing desire or aversion or delusion? Let's check that out for another moment or so. In the same way that hearing is coming and going, breath is also coming and going. We don't have to make breathing happen. We're not controlling how the breath is. We're just meeting the breath. Sensations in the body that show us breathing in is happening, breathing out is happening. Breath is impermanent, it's conditioned. Affected by our environment, and thoughts and sounds are all changing the breath, affecting the breath. And so now for the remainder of this period, just choosing one of these anchors, feeling the body, opening to hearing, or aware of breath. They all work equally well. And just settle on whatever is most accessible for you right now. And for all of us, there will be times when our attention moves away. We might float the question, what am I practicing? Practicing awakening, mindfulness, kind attention. And for these last 5 minutes of the practice, if we notice ourselves caught in a mind state, we might float the question, what am I practicing? Am I practicing planning or worrying? Am I practicing anger or judgment or desire? And really gently, with kindness, beginning again, practicing awakening to the present moment, the body as it sits or stands or reclines, body as it is hearing, or body as it's breathing. Practicing letting go, softening, grounding, awakening. And in a moment, I'll ring 3 bells and we will return to practicing hearing. When the third sound is faded from awareness, gently ending your practice in the way that is meaningful for you. So if you've joined us on one of the recordings, thank you for sharing practice, and hope to see you again sometime.